Hello! Welcome back to another entry into our character introductions little mini series we're going to be running here on the Sunstriders channel. Today I have with me Mr. Dom Boudreaux, the one, the only, one of my probably really oldest friends since I've been in the Lafayette area. We've been playing tabletop for it's almost 4 years now, yeah. Pre-COVID, through COVID, started whenever we were both working at Ruth's Chris, and now has kind of culminated into this. So, Dom, with this little series, what we're doing, since we missed the first 2 or 3 episodes of this campaign, recording-wise, we're just going to kind of run through the basics of our characters that we have, and just kind of cover a little bit of groundwork. So first things first, man, go ahead and introduce us to your character.
So my character is Raz Norubo, a Glee Anselm Nautilin who has been hailing from the home planet and has been in the home planet for all of his life. I believe he's 22, 23 years old, and his first venture out from the home planet was the entry into the group as well as the campaign. As far as Raz's home life, just whatever normal Glee Anselm boy was getting into as he was coming up. I kind of just think of this guy as your everyday average nobody, just introduced to this crazy setting.
Right. And out of our entire group, Dom, you were the latest into Star Wars media in general.
And it just fits so perfectly.
Right. And I think we were playing, or you were playing in one of my Star Wars tabletop games before you had ever even, fully watched a trilogy. Yeah.
I hadn't seen a movie.
So now we've remedied that at least a little bit. But, and even in that first game that we had played, that was your very first, or almost very first full, tabletop game. And, God, remembering running that game and, seeing where you've come to now is, incredible.
My child is grown.
Right. I was actually just talking with Chris about you specifically and Raz specifically and how incredible you've been running the character so far. So, and just kind of segueing right into it with that in mind. Coming into this campaign, what were some goals that you had with Raz in mind?
I always kind of want to apply a bit of myself to, the actual campaign. And one of the biggest days, even in the first game that I did, was that I don't know all that much about Star Wars. And I was like, it would only make sense, especially with being burgeoning. What is it? I can't remember the line you had used, but it was burgeoning users of the Force. You're all relatively young and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's easy because I'm 23. I can run it like it's me. This is
right.
Oh, so that was kind of the first take I had with him, and then it's all kind of melded between because it's weird. As I'm consuming Star Wars media, you do have your big heroes and you have your in betweens, and it's just me trying to take on the civilian to a greater power kind of vein, but also just exploring it. It all kind of comes together on the table itself. I think one of the things we've always done great at our tables for sure is Peter's probably the best example of this, is just having 1 or 2 lines of this is what my character is, and then you find everything else in the game.
Right, and Peter, while not playing in this game yet, hopefully I can get him in our mainstay D&D game. Peter had just an idea. He was like, I'm an old warforged that woke up in a swamp. Now we're pushing level 20, 2 or almost 3 years campaign-wise later, and Voltaire, his character, has just become probably the most in-depth, insane, fleshed out character
biggest
that I've
at the table.
Right, exactly. That I've probably ever played with. And Garrett, who is in this game right now, DMs that game, and him and just Peter gave him a blank check, and Garrett cashed out the bank. Like, kills it just over and over every time we get to play, which hasn't been too frequently as of late, but every time we get to play, I mean, it's just a treat.
But that's
Um,
where, yeah, I kind of
yeah,
take that to the almost any table I go with, because as far as like I've had a limited number of characters I've created. I've only had maybe one or two that have had like very strict like ethics codes or like morality and shit like that. So being able to play loose, I think it just helps you fit into whatever setting you're going into. And then you get to ask yourself a lot of fun questions, like especially with the force in this
mm-hmm.
tabletop is like it's so much morality that you have to question with your own character. Like I think recently with of course there's combat, you take somebody's life, and I have to think, Raz didn't do that shit
Right.
on Glee Ansel. So
Yeah, and even speaking of that, like with character growth, as a little spoiler alert right here, last session, just this past Sunday, you guys took a massive step as characters and constructed your first
that
lightsabers.
was sick. I was so interested in how that was all gonna play out, and like not in any frame of mind that I think we were gonna go that way.
Right. I mean, without going too deep into it, because I am about to upload that episode here pretty quick. But I mean, I hadn't planned for you guys to do that. Like I was saying the night after the session, I hadn't planned on you guys to finish that for probably 3 or 4 more sessions. So about a month real time.
It didn't
But
seem as pertinent, like right in
yeah,
front of us
right.
at the time.
Because I mean, there's only so traditionally, like with the Jedi Order, it's like a coming of age, a rite of passage to construct your first lightsaber. And with this game being post sequels, it's not really something that is really set up to exist in that way. Like the
It's not
Order's
like an
not set
established
up
academy and like
exactly.
rituals.
So, well, as far as you guys have seen yet, right? But so the only established academy you have is the School of Hard Knocks, run by one Declan Verdos, and
Love that shit. Fuck.
and I mean, so far so good. Um, so just real quick, what's been maybe top one, top two moments so far for you in the game?
Uh, Definitely. So I'd probably go with like impact as far as like which changed Roz the most, and then like probably like top like oh shit or hilarious moment. So what changed Roz the most was probably I'd say in that most recent episode with Stormbrock,
Right.
and then also kind of like it's all being put together. Everything before, the moments with Knox were pretty memorable. Like anytime he's essentially stood in front of a group of enemies and then got knocked down and stood back up 6 more times,
Right.
got knocked down 5, stood up 5. And oh man, like all of those, probably running in the Django Fett because
Or
it
Boba.
started to
Yeah.
really settle. Oh yeah, Boba settle like the universe in for me, and like also me actually knowing who he was kind of a big deal. So
Right.
that's when it started to really like kick for me because the group had come together. It was all webbing. We were finally, interacting with each other and the campaign itself. And then that like there were like 3 or 4 sessions where I'm like, oh man, the ball's rolling now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's
Right.
rolling. And then all the way up to I want to say the last two where it was like it was full swing.
I know. And
But
eventually,
yeah,
the only bad thing about that is eventually I got to kind of put you guys into a lull, bring you guys
gotta hit the
off the
brakes on
peak
it.
so I can bring you guys back up again. But
That's what's so
God,
nice with it
you
because you
got
have something
right.
to do. You have your characters have things to do in that downtime now. Whereas before, if you have downtime way early in the campaign, you end up like you haven't built your guy yet.
Right. And you guys really have done a tremendous job. I mean, we've only played 7 or 6 times, I think, now. And you guys have done a tremendous job fleshing out not only your own characters, but relationships between your characters so far. And just to jump off of that, at the table right now, so who you're sharing the table with right now, what character interests you the most right now?
So I do have a bit of bias in this because I do live with him. Definitely Knox.
Right.
Like Declan and June, like I give them their props. Like I think June's fucking sick. I'm
Right.
so
Absolutely.
glad Noah went that route with the character instead of us having like all direct let's go beat these guys up and that'll solve our problems. Like
Right.
his especially his interaction in the last combat, I was like, wait, like this is we're dynamic, you know? So but Knox, just because of like I've talked to Garrett about like what his plans are for the character and all this stuff, and then also like putting him in relation to Raz because we were like the same age in the game.
Right.
We're kind of in the same like we both just walked up to June like yeah, we do need jobs, and like just to see where it all goes with him, and then of course him getting the purple lightsaber just
Right.
makes it just more money.
Yeah, and just to speak on that a little bit, that will be in one of the episodes coming up. But I do have a little custom sort of Force attunement, Kyber crystal attunement, like role series that we go through. That if a character or a player, really, mind you, if a player isn't in love with a certain saber color, will run it through with their just like random chance and their
D20s.
morality and stuff like that, D20s and stuff, and just see. And it's crazy because all three of these guys, Declan already has his own saber, but all three of the Padawans wanted to put it up to chance and got. I mean, the dice just ended up perfectly. Like,
Can't write that, bro.
yeah, I mean, I wish I could have lied, but like everybody like through the color wheel that I pulled up on Google Images or whatever and put into my little D20 system. I mean, the rolls were just perfect, and that's my favorite. I mean, it's the best part of the system for me.
Can't write it.
That's right, man. And
Can't write it.
that is pretty much all I have for today. Dom, any closing remarks? Anything else you have?
I'm just ready to build this character up, make him someone I care about, the rest of the party cares about, so I can then feel the emotional loss after I kill him valiantly.
Well, hey, I'm looking forward to the situation that I put you guys in that makes you think that it's finally time to do that.
Let's
All
fucking
right,
go.
man. Thank you so much, dude. I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Later.